more importantly, because you've been lap after lap after lap, doing the best job that you can, how does it disrupt your rhythm, if you like?
Well, it gives you a chance to sort of think about it and restart, and hopefully, you know, continue that. Obviously, you do put an abrupt end to the rhythm that you had in place, but
sure.
And once you're in it again, it's easy to continue it.
Well, we are back in it again, and Eric Prinot did do a fantastic restart. That means that he's maintained his lead. Now, for my money, I think the one that might come under pressure from this restart now will be Christian Kinch, because Manuela Gosner and Vladimir Hladek right on Christian Kinch. Now there is Thomas Gosner, who's running in P3 in the race. So all of a sudden, all the cars are bunched up again.
No further action. So I think it was probably Nussbaumer's fault, because he got the penalty from driving, I guess, you know, in the wall.
That's what Callum is talking about. We see the benefit of the message on our timing screens just a few moments before you see it on your screen, and that is the incident that involved cars 133 and 136. No further action is going to be taken by race control. It was considered to be a racing incident. So, no one to blame in that. Oh, Vladimir Hladek gets a bit sideways in his quest to try and find his way past Manuela Gosner. Vladimir Hladek, who's running in P6. Manuela Gosner is P5. And Christian Kinch is the car ahead of Manuela Gosner. Then it's Thomas Gosner and Jean-Claude Sada. And, of course, our race leader is Eric Prinot. So Manuela Gosner then trying to make that 488 as wide as possible to prevent Vladimir Hladek as they go downhill now through this Gini turn. Can Vladimir Hladek now get a little bit of extra boost off the back of Manuela Gosner's car as they head up towards turn number 1? He'll be looking for the inside line, Callum, won't he?
Yep, he's got the toe, but of course the other cars in front have got the toe, so we'll see. I think he's getting close enough. No, I don't think so, personally.
Well, a good sterling effort off the back of the Buccini turn. Corinna Gosner and the 172 car of Per Falhalt getting close together there, but Corinna Gosner maintains position. There's von Skeltermar going through in the 177 car, and then the 186 car of Agata Smolka, who we saw losing out on a number of places right at the start of the race, chasing down that Murat Kuhadaroglu car that was involved in that incident that has taken out Nussbaumer. So on board with Smolka, we've got just 10 minutes of the race remaining. Where are the first two-thirds of the race gone? Well, sadly, a part of that was gone under the safety car.
Just coming through one of the fastest sections of the track. We've got 4 sequences of corners, which are probably one of the faster ones of the track. For me, when I was driving here, most of these were flat out for Formula 3, so it's a bit of a difference to see, but in these cars, they're right on the limit with a bit of brakes and entry.
Now, something else you were saying is here in particular with the elevation changes and the sweeping nature of the corners. The exit of one corner is absolutely critical for the entry of the next one, and then the exit becomes critical as again. So you really have to nail every corner, don't you, Callum?
Yeah, especially in the first and second sector. There's a lot of chicanes, which if you don't make the first part of the corner properly, you're going to be stuffed for the next corner. So yeah.
Stuffed is a technical expression, is it?
Yeah. Well, you're not going to make it round, and then you end up getting track limits penalties.
Yes.
And, a bit of gravel on your tyres, and then it just becomes more of a cycle for the rest of the lap once you've got dirt on your tyres, which we saw in race 1 quite a lot.
Yes, in that Trofeo Pirelli race, you're absolutely right. It did. It was really noticeable, wasn't it, for the last sort of 5-6 laps or so. There were some people really struggling. So Christian Kinch then is still ahead of Manuela Gosner. Manuela Gosner, she's in this invidious position where she's hunting and being hunted as well. The real meat in the sandwich here, because she's trying to attack Christian Kinch ahead of her, but she's also having to keep one eye surely on the rearview mirror to try and protect herself from Vladimir Hladek as well. It's blooming difficult being a racing driver to try and attack and defend at the same time.
Yeah, especially if the other driver's very quick in the last sector. That ruins your opportunity into turn 1, which I think she seems to be having the problem of, basically.
Okay. The other point with a safety car period coming when it did, sort of midway in the race, your tyres have been up to temperature, then they cool off again, then you've got to bring them back up to temperature again, presumably, Callum.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. One of the most annoying things about being behind a safety car was that it's one of the most tiring parts of a race, because you're continuously weaving and warming up your tyres, which means you're always on the steering, and if your car doesn't have power steering, it is quite a workout sometimes.
Okay, right. So we have 7.5 minutes of the race remaining. Eric Prinot is leading, and leading the AMS is Ingvar Mattson. There is another lady racer, the Rosso Corsa driven Agatha Smolka car. Battle for third position is between Per Nielsen, Murat Kuhadaroglu and Agatha Smolka. That's the third position in the AMS as von Skeltermar up the inside of Ramelli. Has he made that stick? Not sure, because we're looking at the Kuhadaroglu car. So there is Murat then, who was involved in that incident that took Nussbaumer out of the race, but no one was to blame for that, as now Murat Kuhadaroglu on the outside as they head towards turn number 1. He's not going to be able to get his nose in front before they get to the turn, but will he get the switch back now and dive to the inside? But there's another car right in there, and that of course is the car of Agatha Smolka. But now Murat, by keeping his nose in and keeping his foot in, managed to, the outside of turn 1 becomes the inside of turn 2. Callum.
Yeah, he did have a look at switching back, and then he realised the other car was there.
That was sort of in the way, really, wasn't it?
So he reverted to the second option, which worked as well. So
in many respects, I think Agatha actually helped him get that overtake done.
Definitely, I think.
Let's see it. Talk us through this, Callum.
So yeah, at this point, you sort of got to look at what you're going to do, and he decides to divert back, and I think he was also not far enough behind to be able to go behind, so he went for the second option and continued it around the outside, and it was quick thinking and it worked, so did a good job there.
It's really interesting. You could see Per Nielsen was going to turn in for turn number 2, and then he thought, oh heck, I can't do that because it's full of the Murat car. So good overtake there from Murat Kuhadaroglu. 5.5 minutes of the race remaining. Eric Prinot leading, and he's built up a 2-second margin over Jean-Claude Sada. We're on board with Smolka then, lady racer.
Also, when you go down the inside of someone, you do try and slow it down a little bit. Oh, we've got...
It's the Pittori car out and in the pit lane, the number 184 car. So, don't know what that was all about. Here's von Skeltermar now. Corinna Gosner. Oh! Now, that was almost going to be a carbon copy of what he did last time around. That was somewhere that Fons has kind of nurtured as his overtaking place. On the inside through that turn is now tracking Corinna Gosner for all his work. Von Skeltermar in car number 177. We'll look to the inside now. Corinna Gosner surely will close the door. No, racing room is left, but actually von Skeltermar wasn't close enough to be able to take advantage there, Callum.
Yeah, and she also braked very late, so I think it was a bit of both. You know, he wasn't close enough, and she did a very good job of holding him behind.
Now, of course, those are two Shell drivers behind the AM leader. So Ingvar Mattson really kind of doesn't want to get involved in this big battle because, you know, actually, they're in two separate races almost, aren't they?
We did speak about this in the Pirelli race, the same sort of thing going on. But actually, in this sort of sense, if he can keep them behind him, then that creates a little bit of leniency between the rest of his category.
Which, yeah, I mean, there are exactly two cars between him and the next best AM driver, so you're absolutely right. If he can use that as a cushion, can't he?
Yeah.
He's well protected. They act as wingmen for him, or wing ladies, I should say.
Yeah. And also, if you let them past, there's a possibility that they may continue fighting, and then that will slow him down and into the rest of his pack. So you never really know what to do, to be honest.
And equally, the point that I was trying to make is that whilst they're fighting so aggressively, he kind of almost doesn't want to get involved in that because he's not going to benefit from it, is he, necessarily? But
just to basically continue for your own race, that's what I would do.
Don't worry about what those are doing around you, worry about what you're doing. There is the 161 car of Thomas Gosner, who's driven a great race in P3, has not looked troubled at all, certainly since the safety car period. And Christian Kinch has seen off the challenge from Manuela Gosner thus far. Manuela Gosner, who's had to keep Vladimir Hladik keen as well, and she has managed to do that because Vladimir has not been able to find a way past either. So it has been a exciting race, that's for sure. Vladimir Hladík tries to go around the outside of Manuel Agostina, but surely now with just under 3 minutes of the race left, you're not going to have the grip to try that outside move around turn number 1, particularly when you were coming from as far back as Vladimir Hladík was on that occasion. Yeah,
well, if we take the top 2 at the moment, there's a 2.5 second gap, and since the safety car, we've had more than 5 laps, should we say. What's going on there?
So we've got a message on our screen which is advising us that Alexander Nussbaumer is got a report to race control after this race. So there we are. Now that was von Skeltermar on Corinna Gostner.
He looked the lap before to try and do that, and I think he's successfully pulled it off this time.
Yeah, done it well. So thanks for that replay straight in there. There is Corinna Gostner's sister, Manuela, still chasing down Christian Kinch. Thomas Gostner ahead. There's Eric Prinot, race leader. And race leader by a margin of some 2.7 seconds over Jean-Claude Sarda last time around. Okay, with but a couple of laps of the race remaining. In fact, there'll be the remainder of this lap, plus one more, I would think.
And it isn't on TV, but I've just seen that Matson has lost places to both Skeltermar and Gostner.
So they have gone past. Thanks for that. That means that Ingvar Matson now, there's a bunch of AM drivers all together. So hopefully Ingvar is going to be able to hold on to that AM lead that he's had. So, as predicted, this becomes the final lap. One more lap for Eric Prinot then to hold his own. Can Ingvar Matson? Because there's only 5/10 between Ingvar Matson and Ramelli in the AM battle at the moment. Picking that up from our timing screen as well. So Ingvar Matson might come under some pressure. Also coming under pressure is Manuel Gostner. I think it would be Ingvar Matson's first win, if my memory serves me, which frequently it doesn't, but I think it would be. Battle for P5 between Manuel Gostner, Vladimir Hladík and Eric Chung is coming into the mix as well in car number 198. Eric Chung, another really long-time campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge and super driver. Oh, and around has gone David Lim in the 168 car. Now, whether he was provoked into that or whether that was of his own doing, doesn't look to be any damage on the car, does the Callum, which would suggest that on worn tyres, maybe... Oh,
yeah, on his own.
Must have put the tyre out somewhere. It must have been on the, you know, for that to... Did jolly well to get it out of the gravel, to be fair.
Well, the thing is, out of turn 1, it's you're on the power out of the corner, and it's a continuous corner, so it's possible that they're just a little bit
snapped
too much power.
Away. Yeah,
it went on him.
Well, it hasn't gone on Eric Prinot, who has driven faultlessly, to be fair. Did all the hard work, arguably, in qualifying to put himself in the best possible position, but he had to do it all over again from a safety car period. And he has done that, so he celebrates his, how many seasons he's been in Ferrari Challenge, but a great number, and whatever number it is, he's going to start it off in exactly the right way by taking race win. Eric Prinot will be P1 in Mugello. Eric Prinot takes the win. P2 goes the way of Jean-Claude Sarda. P3 is Thomas Gostner. Then it's Kinch, Manuel Gostner and Vladimir Hladík. Corinna Gostner will finish P9. Can Ingvar Matson hold on for the AM win? Yes, he can. He takes that from Giuseppe Ramelli, then Murat Kuhadaroglu. Wow, what a race. Laurent Demuse and Tommy Lindroth heading towards the checkered flag, and the one that will cross the timing line last of all will be David Lim, following that little pirouette earlier on. Here comes David Lim now. But there, Laurent Demuse and Tommy Lindroth then. That's it, race done and dusted. That was an exciting race from